on Shalom TV. You're watching our Evening of Solidarity for the people of Israel. And I have a very special person on the phones right now, a dear friend. You've seen her recently on Shalom TV. She is one of the leading authors and thinkers and feminists in the Jewish community, Phyllis Chesler. Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my privilege.
Phyllis, we've asked a lot of people, but I want to hear it from you. What was your own personal response and feelings when you heard, lo and behold, the 3 boys had been found and they were no longer alive?
My first response was what a fool I had been to hold out hope, knowing the monsters with which we deal, the Death Eaters. My second response was heartbreak and sorrow, anguish and rage. And one of the memorial services I attended last night, one rabbi pointed out that in this recent Parsha, Chukat, that for one captive, Israel went to war. Here we had 3 abducted. And then another rabbi said that he reminded us that those of us who cherish life will survive, have survived. And those who cherish death will not. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is true. I also think, though, that this is a game changer, and this is directly connected to the Fatah-Hamas alliance, because the last time these 2 gangsters got together, Gilad Shaapos was kidnapped. So we see they begin to fan out on the West Bank, and they take prey. What makes this a game changer is, for some reason, unclear, the decision was to kill them right away in panic, or because they didn't want to trade, or because the crazy jihadists think, well, soon they'll be opening the prison gates themselves by force. And whatever the reason may be, this now morally obliges Israel to no longer give in to American resistance, as in American pressure to, don't destabilize, don't overreact, in fact, do nothing, just go to the gas chamber. So this now morally obligates Israel to continue what it's been doing in terms of taking down Hamas leaders and Hamas infrastructure. And I think that they are doing this.
Mm-hmm. That's a fascinating analysis, Phyllis, and it seems like this event will have global repercussions. I want to ask you what you think this has meant to American Jewry. What's your sense of the way in which the American Jewish community has reacted to this entire horrific event?
It is my impression that even tonight there are vigils all over New York City in different boroughs at different synagogues. I certainly attended their memorial services in part via live stream, as did many of my friends and colleagues, and heard Prime Minister Netanyahu speak, as well as the parents. So we seem to be, for the moment, if only it could last, united. I don't know if it can last. I actually just spoke to a friend who came back from Israel, and she said, please mention that now is the time for Israel to institute late-night buses. Mm-hmm. Because in the region, they have to hitchhike.
The reason they were hitchhiking was there was virtually no bus service.
And also there's a level of trust that the people have. So no doubt the 2 Hamas operatives must have been disguised as religious Jews with Hebrew Israeli license plates.
Exactly.
And so this is my friend, the journalist Fern Sidman, who said, please mention the need for late-night buses. And so I have. I wish that America did not support and recognize this alliance with a known terrorist group that is on our terrorist list. Mm-hmm. It's very crazy. And we should not be funding them. Now, it's true, one must say that there are Palestinian individuals who are moral and who want to live in peace. But the leaders are rotten from top to bottom and only exist to destroy Israel. That is also true.
Do you feel Phyllis, do you feel that's true of Abbas as well?
I do. I do. I mean, unless the tiger has changed its stripes, he certainly was, right-hand guy to Yasser Arafat, Yimach Shemo. So, maybe he's older, maybe he's more tired, maybe he doesn't have what it takes to keep up the killing spree. That's possible. But then why didn't he accept the best offer on the table last time around? Why didn't he run to grab it to begin a state instead of to exist to destroy another state? The only stable state in the entire region now, the only stable ally that America has. I think this is also a moment when Israel will have to make some very new kinds of alliances, because even though American Jews and European Jews and Israeli Jews and all of our supporters of other faiths seem to be outraged, anguished, and united now, Israel is on its own. And the old alliances or dependencies have to be very carefully questioned and tested, and new alliances forged.
Phyllis, are you angry at this entire event?
Ha! Ha! Am I angry? Oh, boy. Well, I tend to think like a warrior. So I put my anger aside, and I've been thinking strategically from the time this happened. Now, this cannot happen again, and we fear in our bones that it's bound to, unless, and now I'm going to say politically incorrect things, unless people who are in the know in terms of Arab mentality, Muslim mentality, jihadist mentality, the only thing they respect, the only thing that stops them is such a superior show of force that while it may shame them, they may stop, for 1,000 years. Nothing less is going to do it. And that is a terrible truth and has to be handled with very great care.
It is always interesting to hear your analysis. By the way, I should have mentioned, your book is A Bride in Kabul.
Oh, An American Bride in Kabul, but also the new anti-Semitism.
Yes. You continue to write wonderfully. And, of course, people saw your discussion with me on L'chaim, and I got wonderful feedback from that as well. It is also interesting to hear your perspective because, Phyllis, we associate you with a very liberal perspective on social issues, and you've always fought for women's issues. And people have to understand that if you're moved to say at the moment, you've expressed a certain kind of frustration, it indicates the extent to which this event has really, as you said, may be a game changer in more ways than one. You want to comment on that?
Well, it's one of many galvanizing events. I mean, I monitor the media and the human rights groups internationally, and the toxic, lethal narrative against Israel is beyond belief on the internet, on the airwaves, on the campuses, certainly in America and Europe, and in the Muslim world, beyond belief. So I'm already understanding that if there's this level of propaganda being circulated with lies, very big lies, against Jews, Judaism, and Israel, it's only a matter of seconds before somebody acts on it. And now we have ISIS in Syria and Iraq. We have all kinds of al-Qaeda wannabes and lookalikes. Unfortunately, President Obama is not right that we got rid of al-Qaeda when we assassinated bin Laden. And they are now talking about a 5-year plan, and they're going to take from Spain to China. Now, I don't think they can do it, but they're talking about it. It's who they are. It's how they think. Israel must absolutely, and for that matter, America, be prepared to protect ourselves with great vigilance, because this is like having Genghis Khan, but with nuclear weapons. So it's a barbarian mentality, the kind of mentality that celebrates as Israel mourns, that cherishes dead children of their own who are martyrs. This mentality in command of 21st century weaponry is very dangerous.
Yes. Phyllis, as always, I love talking to you. I love your insights. Always be there for me, and I hope to see you in the very near future. But thank you for giving us some time here on this evening when we are in solidarity with the people of Israel.
Yes, I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad to stand in solidarity, to salute in solidarity these new martyrs and heroes of our own, unwilling martyrs.
Thank you, my darling. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Phyllis Chesler. What I'm going to do is have the phone number put back up on the screen, and I think I'd love to hear what you have to say till we get up to the 9 o'clock hour, and we'll be happy to take your phone calls. So the phone number is 201-242-1142. Please, if you'd like to join the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. I'm sitting here now with Micah Halpern. It's not about critiquing anything Phyllis said, but did she say anything that sparked a thought?
Many thoughts, many thoughts. There's a lot of anger. And it's important right now to let that anger simmer as opposed to deal with it. And that's important. We're seeing it in Israel also. There's anger. There's anger on the streets. There's anger towards Arabs. It's not a good thing to confront directly, but we must cap it. We can't allow it to get out of control. Any decisions about what happens with regard to policy needs to be done with a cool head and not with the concept of vengeance. And that's important. Neither with the concept of justice. Israel will be acting regarding a concept of principle. It's important to recognize that. Justice happens in front of a court. Vengeance is something that God has, okay? But we have an issue and responsibility, and the Jewish people have an issue of responsibility, and there are certain principles that Israel needs to live by. That said, there's a lot of anger, and unfortunately we have to make certain that law and order maintains itself. And indeed, today in the course of the funerals, during the funerals and during rallies, memorializing these young boys that were murdered so brutally, there were some very ugly events that began to take place. And we have to remember that that takes place also. We have to stop that from taking place. Not because we're liberal or we're conservative, not because we're right-wing or left-wing, because we don't do that.
That's correct.
We don't exact revenge.
We go back to our phone calls. It's a pleasure to welcome Alice from New York to the program. Alice, thank you for joining us. Alice, can you hear me? Let me remind you, if you're going to be on the air, please turn your television down.
Thank you.
How are you, Alice?
Oh, I'm so fine. Thank you for being such a mitzvah maker.
Thank you, darling. What are your thoughts, Alice?
Well, my thoughts go back to...
Turn your television down, darling. Turn your television down.
Sure.
Okay. It's a hard thing to remember, but you have to turn your television down, or there's a 7-second delay, and you're talking to me, and you're hearing it 7 seconds later. Wah! Okay. Alice, come talk to me.
I'm coming right back.
Okay. I understand. If any of you ever called a television program or a radio program, it's just something you just have to get used to. Alice, go ahead.
I want to thank you because I want to make a suggestion to everybody out there. I just contributed triple high to Shalom TV.
That's so sweet of you.
In honor of the boys. But
thank you.
Your gift is really fabulous. And I know Phyllis Chesler. We've gone through the wars together. From the time that the Cuban delegation during the International Decade for Women, the first conference in Mexico City, brought forth Zionism equals racism.
Yes.
And I was privileged to be part of because I had been an active feminist, I'm a founder of one of the founders of the first women's bank in New York. I think Azaria Rappaport, I believe that's his name if my memory serves me correct, asked a group of us to bring together a delegation of feminist women because they were really worried that Gloria Steinem or Letty Cotton Pogrebin, who's been a great Jewish writer, would back the left, the left wing or anyway, it's what troubles me most is this is a continuing story from the time Lila Khaled took that plane, hijacked that plane, to today. The behavior of we call terrorists, but the behavior of that part of the world just does not change.
I understand. By the way, Alice, I am very, very grateful for the call. I wish we had more time. I've just got to get other callers in. But I hope you talk to me often, and I so appreciate the support. Thank you very much, darling.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
By the way, Jen, you also gave me a message in my ear. I want to make sure I got it right. Would you tell me one more time? No? You told me about the UN.
Oh, you want...
Goodbye, Alice.
Bye.
Do you have it?
Yes, I have it. The UN Security Council
Okay. The UN Security Council has condemned unanimously the killings of these 3 kids. Take 30 seconds. What's it mean?
It means that the Security Council is controlled by the powerhouses of the West in general, which is one of the most important considerations of the UN. The UN has no teeth without the Security Council. The only way anything can happen is with the Security Council. And we know point blank that what happened to children, when you kill children wantonly, deliberately, it's wrong. The UN must come out and say that. If they don't say that, there's no hope for them, period. So I'm not saying it's a good thing. It should be expected of an organization like the UN, especially the Security Council, to do what they did.
Okay. We go to Long Island and welcome Sam. Sam, thank you for joining us tonight. Is Sam there?
Yes.
Sam, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts, Sam?
Oh, boy. Number one, what's her name? Miss Slasser? Is that her name?
Phyllis Chesler.
Chesler. I agree with her 100%. I don't agree with the rabbi next door who says we shouldn't have vengeance. I believe in vengeance. I believe in getting to these people, and I think Israel should stop worrying what the world thinks about what they're going to do or what the United States is thinking about them. They should be very, very strong right now. They should go in there and destroy Hamas, go in there and try to take back Gaza, because these Arabs only know one thing. The peace talks, unfortunately, are dead. I don't think these Arabs only want to destroy Israel piecemeal, and they're using negotiations to destroy Israel piecemeal. And the Sunni Israelis realize that, and that they have to be as strong, as military as strong as possible, and not give back an inch. And they should go back, like I said, go back in Gaza, take that Gaza back, and a lot of these rockets that are flying into Israel right now won't be flying anymore.
Okay.
And
Sam, I got it. You say it very passionately, and I appreciate your call very, very much. I appreciate your passion as well. So lo and behold, you're now a rabbi.
Say that again?
Sam, thank you for calling us. Sam thinks you're a rabbi.
I will not go on the record on that.
Okay. In any case, what Sam is saying is he heard you say that you're against vengeance, and he feels some vengeance is appropriate right now.
Well, he can feel that way because I can't stop him from feeling that way. I think that there's a biblical and rabbinic understanding of vengeance, which is one element, and the Jewish people have another. I think it's critical to realize how Israel behaves as a policy, how they make their policies. Israel will be strong. Israel will create a point where they will get these kidnappers. They will find them. Israel is also using this opportunity to deracinate, to eliminate Hamas in the West Bank. They're also using the opportunity to get into Gaza from the air. But I will say that right now is not a good time to embark on a huge mission and operation in the West Bank or in Gaza.
Because?
Well, there are several reasons. The first is that right now the tensions are too high between the settler community and the Palestinian Arab community there, and that it's a tinderbox that could explode. And that would not just simply be a local problem, that could potentially overflow into Jordan and into Egypt and even bigger. In other words, and those countries, especially Jordan, is right now a little unstable. You don't want huge rallies and protests on the street there. So you want to calm that community down. Once that gets calmed down, then an operation can go into place. But there has to be a clear operation with clear visions and objectives.
We're going to squeeze one more call in before the break. Raymond in New Jersey. Raymond, thank you for joining us. Raymond, are you there? Raymond?
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for joining the program.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'd just like to clarify a few things. Hello?
Yes, Raymond, you have to turn your TV down and trust that you're being heard.
Oh, okay, fine. I just want to clarify some things. We give a lot of credence to terrorism when you refer to a nation as Palestinian. There's no such thing as a Palestinian nation. The Arabs that live in Israel are not Palestinians. They're just Arabs. They come from eastern Syria. They come from the Levant. And they from North Africa. And they were there as servants to Arab sheikhs.
Okay, you have to forgive me. But Raymond, I am not disagreeing with you. Unfortunately, and we're going to have to now go to a break, Sloan. Unfortunately, it's not the topic tonight.
No, hold on.
I'm really sorry, Raymond. I'm grabbed by the clock. My point, however, is that what I really am hoping those of you who call want to talk about is, what's your empathy for, what's your feelings for this horrific event, and how do you feel for the Israeli people? How do you feel for the families? How do you feel for these extraordinary mothers? How do you feel personally? Whether you're a Jew or non-Jew, how does this make you feel? And how do we try to, in some way, shape this for good as we go forward? We're coming up at 9 o'clock. When we come back, we have Alan Dershowitz, and we also have tonight an extraordinary gift. Israel's forever ambassador of song, Ron Eliran, is going to be joining us. He'll actually be doing some songs for us, but here you have an extraordinary Israeli who's joining us tonight, and I am so grateful. Micah Halpern is going to stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will continue with our evening of support for the people of the State of Israel. I hope you stay with us.